You know that feeling when you slide into your driver's seat in the morning, the sun is hitting the interior at just the right angle, and you see them? Those white spiderweb cracks crawling across the side bolster like your car is literally aging in front of your eyes. Not on the paint, not on the wheels, inside, where you sit every single day. And the worst part is not even the cracks themselves. The worst part is knowing you already tried to stop it. You already went to the auto parts store. You already grabbed that gold and black bottle with the fancy script font that said premium leather conditioning formula and cost you $40. And you sprayed it on and rubbed it in, and it smelled incredible, and your seats looked slightly shinier for about 3 days before going right back to feeling like cardboard wrapped in cheap plastic. That is not a coincidence. That is not bad luck. That is the system working exactly as it was designed to work. And today, I am going to tear that system apart piece by piece and show you the $2 fix sitting in every pharmacy in the country that will restore your cracked seats faster than any premium product ever could. And I promise by the end of this video, you will never buy a leather conditioner again as long as you own a car. Let me start with something that the leather care industry absolutely does not want you to understand. Leather is skin. I do not mean that metaphorically. I mean that literally and biologically. It came off the back of an animal, and it has the same fundamental structure as the skin on your hand. It has pores. It has internal fiber layers. It was once saturated with living oils and fats that kept it flexible and strong. And when the tannery processes a hide and turns it into the material in your car seat, they use a process called fat liquoring, where they inject specific heavy oils deep into the fiber matrix of the leather to replace the biological oils that kept the animal's skin alive. Those fats are what make new leather soft. Those fats are what give a brand new car seat that incredible pillowy give when you press your palm into it. That is not the coating on top. That is the internal lubrication of thousands of individual leather fibers that can slide against each other without friction, without brittleness, without snapping. Now here is what happens to your seats over the next 5 years. Heat and UV radiation from the sun act like a slow kiln on your interior. Every single day, those internal fats are being volatilized. They are being cooked off, they are migrating to the surface and evaporating. The microscopic fiber bundles deep inside your seat are slowly losing their lubrication, slowly beginning to press against each other without that cushion of oil between them, slowly becoming rigid and dry and brittle. And then, one day, someone sits down hard, or you twist getting out of the car, and those fibers that used to bend are now snapping. A crack is not a surface problem. A crack is not cosmetic damage. A crack is a structural failure of the internal fiber matrix. It is your leather's skeleton breaking. And when you understand that, you understand immediately why every single spray conditioner you have ever bought has done absolutely nothing to stop it. Because those sprays are not even trying to reach the fiber matrix. They cannot. They are water-based emulsions designed to sit on the top surface of the leather, put a light coat of silicone or glycerin on the grain layer, make the seat look slightly shinier, and then evaporate within a week. They are skin lotion for a corpse. And the brands selling them know it. They know it because they have chemists, they have formulators, they understand leather science. And they made a deliberate marketing decision to prioritize aesthetics over function, because a product that actually worked would mean you only needed to buy it twice a year, and a product that smells incredible and leaves a beautiful matte finish and evaporates in 4 days means you are back at the store every single month. That is not an accident. That is a business model built on your ignorance of leather chemistry and your desperation to save your interior. If you are new here and you are tired of getting lied to by the detailing industry, hit that subscribe button right now, because this is what we do on this channel. We kill the premium product myth with $2 pharmacy solutions and basic chemistry that the big brands hope you never learn. We are not here to sell you anything. We are here to make sure you never have to pay a professional upholstery shop $1,200 to recover seats that a $2 jar could have saved years ago. Subscribe and let's keep going. Now, let me introduce you to the actual solution. And I need you to suspend your marketing brain for a moment, because your marketing brain is going to say, this is too simple, this cannot work, this is not a professional product. Your marketing brain has cost you hundreds of dollars already, so let it rest for 5 minutes. The answer is petroleum jelly. Pure, 100% USP grade petroleum jelly. The stuff in the little blue and white jar at the pharmacy that costs less than $2. That humble, unassuming gel that your grandmother put on chapped lips and cracked heels is the single most effective leather conditioner ever synthesized, and the reason comes down to one word: polarity. Petroleum jelly is a non-polar hydrocarbon. It is essentially a semi-solid version of mineral oil, a mixture of long-chain alkane molecules with no electrical charge and no water content whatsoever. The natural fats that were used to fat liquor your leather during the tanning process are also nonpolar hydrocarbons, like dissolves like. That is one of the most foundational principles in all of chemistry. When you press petroleum jelly into cracked leather with warm fingers, those long hydrocarbon chains are chemically compatible with the residual fat liquors still inside the leather, and they follow the same pathways that those original oils carved through the fiber matrix during manufacturing. They penetrate, they do not sit on the surface and evaporate like your $40 spray. They go down into the actual grain layer, into the corium below it, into the fiber bundles themselves, and they re-lubricate from the inside out. The fibers that were pressing against each other dry and rigid suddenly have a slick, heavy hydrocarbon buffer between them again. They can flex, they can move, and as the petroleum jelly swells those dried fibers by filling the microscopic voids left by evaporated fats, the leather physically thickens. Those white cracks narrow, the fiber bundles press back together, the surface loses that papery, hollow feeling and starts to have weight and body again. 60 seconds of massage with warm fingers, and your seats will feel closer to factory condition than they have in years, and that process cost you less than a cup of coffee. Now, let me show you why your $40 bottle is not just ineffective, it is actively making things worse. Pick up any commercial leather conditioner from any major automotive brand and read the ingredients. Buried in the list, usually after water, after fragrance, after whatever proprietary blend of marketing words they have chosen this year, you will find alcohols, isopropyl alcohol, ethanol, denatured alcohol. Sometimes they call it a carrier or a solvent. The justification is that the alcohol helps the product penetrate faster, and technically that is true. The alcohol does carry the active ingredients through the surface layer of the leather faster than water would. But it does not stop there. Alcohol is hygroscopic. It draws moisture toward itself, and when it evaporates, it takes moisture with it. Every time you apply a conventional leather conditioner, you are delivering a tiny amount of glycerin or silicone to the surface while simultaneously stripping residual moisture from the fiber matrix below. The leather looks better for 4 days. It is drier the following week than it was before you treated it. This is why every review for every commercial leather conditioner sounds exactly the same. Smells great, feels soft at first, but I have to keep reapplying it. That is not the nature of leather care. That is the design of a product engineered to require constant repurchase. Petroleum jelly contains zero alcohol, zero water, zero fragrance. It is pure hydrocarbon with a high molecular weight that means it evaporates extremely slowly, stays resident in the fiber matrix for weeks or months instead of days, and continues to lubricate and protect long after the last application. One treatment with petroleum jelly will outlast 6 to 8 applications of your premium spray conditioner. And the cost comparison is not even worth doing out loud because it would be embarrassing for the brands. Let me walk you through the exact protocol so you can do this tonight. Start by cleaning the seat. This step matters more than most people realize because petroleum jelly is a heavy hydrocarbon, and if you trap surface dirt or body oil under it, you are sealing that contamination into the leather where it will begin to degrade the grain layer over time. Take a clean microfiber cloth, dampen it with plain water, and wipe the entire seat surface with firm, even strokes. You are not trying to deep clean the leather at this stage. You are removing the loose surface layer of dust, transferred skin oils, and whatever residue is left from your last conditioner application. Let the seat dry completely before you move to the next step. Do not skip this. Once the seat is clean and dry, take a very small amount of petroleum jelly on your fingertips. I mean a pea-sized amount for each section, less than you think you need. Rub your fingers together for a few seconds to warm the jelly and turn it from a gel into a thin, low viscosity oil. Then press your warm fingers directly into the cracked areas and work in slow, circular motions. You will feel the leather warming under your hands, and you will feel the petroleum jelly liquefying further as it contacts that warmth and begins to flow into the grain. Work methodically across the bolster, across the seat bottom, across the backrest. Pay extra attention to the areas around the seat seams because the leather is thinner there and the fiber stress from flexing is highest, which means those areas are losing their internal fats fastest. Take your time. Massage the entire seat surface with that thin layer, making sure no area is missed. Then leave it. Walk away. Let the seat sit overnight with the petroleum jelly working its way deeper into the fiber matrix without any heat or pressure to cause problems. And now I need you to stop and pay very close attention to what I am about to tell you, because this is the part that will determine whether this treatment saves your seats or destroys them. The next morning, before you get into that car, before the sun has been on those seats, you must buff every square inch of that leather with a clean, dry microfiber towel until there is absolutely no visible residue remaining on the surface. Not mostly buffed, not mostly dry, completely clean. I cannot stress this strongly enough. Here is exactly what happens if you skip this step. Petroleum jelly has a melting point of around 40 degrees Celsius, which is roughly 104 degrees Fahrenheit. The interior of a car parked in direct sunlight on a warm day can reach 70 to 80 degrees Celsius at the seat surface. When the residual petroleum jelly on your seat surface reaches that temperature under the sun, it does not just soften, it liquefies completely into a free-flowing, high-temperature oil. That oil does not stay on the leather surface. It wicks. It migrates via capillary action along every fiber it can reach, and the tightest, most fiber-dense areas on your seat are the stitch channels. Your seat is held together by threads running through extremely tight, compressed channels in the leather, and those threads are under constant tension from the stuffing beneath them. When superheated petroleum jelly oil floods those stitch channels and saturates the threads at 75 degrees Celsius, it dissolves the thread's protective coatings. It breaks down the friction that holds the stitching tension in place, and those threads become compromised. The first time a heavy passenger sits on a seat with saturated heat-damaged stitching, those seams will burst, not slowly, not a little. They will split open along the entire length of the stitch line, and you will have a seat that looks like it has been slashed with a knife from the inside. This is not a theoretical risk. It is a predictable outcome of leaving excess material on the seat in a hot environment. The overnight treatment works because the petroleum jelly that the leather can actually absorb will absorb overnight, leaving only the excess on the surface. Buff that excess completely away in the morning, and you have a deeply conditioned seat with no surface residue and no heat risk. Skip the morning buff, and you are trading cracked leather for burst seams, which is a considerably more expensive problem. Do the treatment right, and you will not repeat it for at least 3 months under normal conditions. Now, I want you to take a moment and think about the math here, because I want this to be viscerally real for you. The average professional upholstery shop charges between $1,000 and $1,500 to recover a driver's seat. That is not reconditioning it. That is not treating it. That is replacing every panel of leather because the cracking went so far past the surface that no topical treatment could reverse the structural failure. That $1,200 bill is sitting in your future right now if you keep trusting the premium spray conditioner that is draining your leather from the inside every time you apply it. The petroleum jelly sitting on the pharmacy shelf next to the cotton balls and the bandages costs less than $2. One jar will treat your entire interior 4 or 5 times over, and it will do more for the long-term structural health of your leather in a single overnight application than a year of weekly premium conditioner treatments, because it is addressing the actual cause of leather failure instead of painting over the symptom while making the underlying condition worse. The gap between $1,200 and $2 is not a gap in product quality, it is a gap in information. It is what happens when an industry spends decades and millions of dollars in marketing to make you believe that complexity and price are proxies for effectiveness, when the actual chemistry of leather care has been sitting in a pharmacy for over a century. Your seats are repairable right now, not eventually, not after you save up for a professional treatment. Tonight, with something you can buy on the way home from work. And when you wake up tomorrow morning and buff that seat and press your palm into the bolster and feel that leather respond with actual give instead of that hollow cardboard resistance, I want you to think about every person you know who is driving around in a car with cracked, dried out, high mileage leather seats, sitting on an interior that is slowly crossing the point of no return while they keep buying $40 sprays that make the problem worse. Share this video with them, every single one of them. Because the window to save leather before surface cracks become structural tears is not open forever, and the difference between saving those seats with $2 tonight and paying $1,200 to an upholstery shop next year is nothing but knowing this information exists. Send them this video. Drop it in whatever group chat they are in. Tag them in the comments below. And if you are new here and you just watched a $40 product get demolished by a $2 pharmacy, find subscribe right now because this is what we do every single week. The detailing industry has been counting on your trust and your ignorance for long enough, and this channel exists to make sure that ends